start with prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरं परमानन्दमाधवम्। Hare Krishna, once again welcome everyone for today's Bhagavad Gita discussion and class. So last time we had covered verses of the 7th chapter. We had covered verses from 4th verse, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Till 11th verse we had covered, and we saw that how Lord Krishna is perceivable even although physically absent or physically not visible, but still Lord is perceivable in the different elements of this material world. That is what we saw, right? You all remember? And those of you for whom it's possible to turn on videos, you may do so that I get a feeling of interacting with people and not non-entities. I'll just 1 minute. Just come. Fan. All right. So today we are going to go ahead in our journey of, yes, this Bhagavad Gita. We are going ahead today, and specifically we will start off with chapter number 7 chapter 12th verse. So now there may be a question that we see that everything in this world comes under three modes. Yeah, every single thing: Sattva-guna, Rajogun, and Tamagun. These are the three modes under which everything else comes. So now we may get a doubt. So Krishna gave examples, so many examples. Raso hamapsu kaunteya. He said, I am the taste of water, but water is a material element. Prabhasmi sasi surya yoho. I am the light of the sun and the moon, but even the light is a material element. Pranava sarva vedeshu. Even the Vedas, they also talk about the three modes. Shabdake, Paurusham, Rishu, all the living entities, they are controlled by different modes of Sattva guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. So one may get a confusion. Is Krishna trying to tell here that he is some way connected to three modes? Is he under three modes? Because generally everything, although the concept of the three modes will be introduced later on in the Bhagavad Gita in the 14th chapter, Lord Krishna is going to take out time and exclusively introduce these three modes: mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. But at this point of time, we would like to know if Krishna has is some way mixed with the modes. Is he under the modes? Is he above the modes? This is a kind of query which may come in a person. So what exactly is the answer for this? Because last time in the 11th verse, Krishna said that balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam, which means I am that strength which is devoid of passion. Oh, so Krishna is the strength devoid of passion. Then is he in goodness? Well, is he in ignorance? What exactly is the mode of Krishna? So one may get a doubt. So to clarify this completely, Krishna speaks the verse number 12. So let's go to verse 12 of the 7th chapter. एचैव सात्विका भावा राजसस्तामसाश्च ये मत्त एवेति तान् विद्धि न त्वहं तेषु ते मयि. Can someone read the translation?
Know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense, everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me.
Yes. So Krishna is very clearly telling that I am not dependent on anything. I am completely independent. That's something which Krishna has told, and he very, very specifically tells that I am not under the three modes. Sorry, I'm not under three modes, rather, they are within me. Which means when I need, I can use these three modes. And Krishna later on is going to specifically clarify how exactly he's going to use the three modes, or how rather the three modes are under him. So, what we understand from this? Well, Krishna is not under three modes. So, now before, if we have studied the seventh chapter spoke about two different energies of Krishna. One is the material energy, which is the matter, eight elements. Bhumirapa analo vayu kham mano buddhirevacha hankaram. That's earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These eight elements. This is the material energy. And Krishna also spoke about the spiritual energy, who are the living entities. So now we would like to know, living entity is called the superior energy. So Krishna is above both his energies. This is very clear. But now, what is the position of the spiritual energy and the material energy in this material world? In this material world, what exactly is the position of the jivatmas, the living entities, relative to the material modes? That is something which is explained in the 13th verse. So let's go to verse number 13. Oh, we skipped a verse. Yes. Trivir gunamayair bhavair ebihi sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mamebhyah paramavyayam. Someone else can read the translation.
So, deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the mold of inexhaustible.
Yes. So what is Krishna telling here? Two things. Two things. One thing he's telling the living entities, the superior energy, although being superior energy is under the inferior energy. So living entities, although being superior in by nature, are under the three modes of material nature, which means the living entity is in Maya. Very unfortunate. The living entity is in Maya. That is what this world is um, completely. And this Maya or this three modes is something that prevents one from understanding Krishna. Yes. So a very nice analogy comes to my mind. Yeah, this analogy is of uh, sometimes we see a day is cloudy. It's a cloudy day. Yes, cloudy day. So when the day is cloudy, can we see the sun? Nah, we are not able to see the sun. But we have one faith that the sun is there in the sky. So although it's a cloudy day, we understand what is cloudy day and what is night. There's a gulf of difference between cloudy day and nights. We know that. But we know for sure that on a cloudy day you cannot see the sun. Why don't we see the sun? We are not able to see the sun on a cloudy day because of the clouds. But let's analyze who created the clouds. Who created the clouds? It's the sun. We have studied the Haber cycle, how the sun evaporates the water from all the water bodies, and then they go up in the air, they evaporate, they condense in the sky, mix with dust, and there's a formation of clouds, right? And these are the clouds who actually cover the sun. So actually, the sun is never covered. Sun is never covered. Sun can never be. Sun is way above the clouds, way above. But what gets covered is our vision. So it is the clouds that prevent us from seeing the sun very clearly. Yes, clouds can never cover this. Similarly, Maya can never ever cover Krishna. But our vision of Krishna is covered by Maya, and this Maya or material nature technically operating upon us refers to three modes. So the way Maya operates on Jiva, the living entity, is through three modes: Sattva, Rajas, and Tama. Yes, Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamagun. That is something that covers over the living entity, which prevents us from experiencing Krishna. So now, well, Maya is covered over. How many of you want to get above Maya? There'll be a natural question. Come on, we want to really experience Krishna, want to see Krishna, we want to uh, uh, connect to Krishna. But now, one thing we have really understood is that we have been covered over by Maya. Sushma Dikshit ji, you have a question? You raised hand. Okay, withdraw the hand. Yes, question answers we'll take in the end. I'll give you time. All right. So we want to experience Krishna, we want to know the absolute truth, and the very name of this chapter, the seventh chapter, is to know the absolute truth, knowledge of the absolute truth. So this Maya is between. So how exactly to get above this Maya? That is explained in the next verse. All right, here we go. Verse number 17, 14. I'm sorry. दैवी ह्येषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायां ह्येतां तरन्ति ते. Rather than reading this translation, I would like to explain this. Daivi hi esha gunamayi. That particular Devi, or the energy of mind, which is gunamayi, which means who has these three characteristics of gunas. There is another meaning for guna. गुण मीन्स क्वालिटीज. we say ना, उसके बहुत अच्छे गुण हैं, he has very good qualities. और उसके बहुत गंदे गुण हैं, he does not have good qualities. So gun refers to qualities. Good gun also refers to modes. And there's another meaning of guna. Anyone knows what's that? Another meaning of guna means rope. What is it? Rope. And normally if you see, the animals are tied to the rope, right? The cows, the calves, the buffaloes, they're all tied to the rope, and then we try them to tie them to a pole or to a tree. Of course, we city bred crowd, we don't have experience of cow, buffalo. Even if somebody gets to see a cow, now there are a generation of people who have never seen a cow in their life, unfortunately. Right? They only see in cartoons or television. That too, that's not desi cow. Yes. So we animals are tied by some kind of rope. Even dogs, they are tied to a rope. Somebody I see in the morning sometimes. The road just outside our Bhakti Yoga Club is a road where people go for jogging, walking right early in the morning. When we go for Tulsi worship or Tulsi watering, that time we get to see people jogging, and some people jog with their dogs. The dog is running, man is running, but he's holding the dog with a rope. So similarly, the Maya Devi is holding all of our living entities, all of us, with those ropes, and us controlling. Yeah, and that's how we are controlled by this guna. This guna also means ropes. Now, when I say, bro, where are these ropes? I don't seem to be bound by any ropes. I don't see it. Kidhar hai? Check. You, any of you bound with ropes? That's the point. These are invisible ropes. You cannot see them. You cannot see them, but you can definitely experience them. And more of this experience of these three modes, that is something which is excuse me, that will be definitely discussing in the 14th chapter. But definitely we are all bound, we all know we are bound by different kinds of conditions. Conditions means, well, now you can see condition. If we don't have AC, we don't have fan, we are going to sweat profusely. That's why in the beginning of the class I wanted to go and switch on. Otherwise, after every shloka, I'll have to keep wiping my forehead because I'll be sweating, right? So I wanted to go and turn on the fan. So because the body sweats in summer, the body is cold in winter. So I need a jacket, something to cover my body. Yeah, that's condition. Condition is something on the gross body. Yeah, I cannot fly in the sky. I can only walk on water. That is a condition. Birds can easily fly in the sky. That is their condition. So condition is something that's applicable on the gross body. And conditioning is something which is subtle, which is in the subtle body, the mind. The mind is conditioned with certain habits. The mind is conditioning with, has some conditioning with some behavior, some mannerisms, some kind of attitudes. So these are all very subtle level. On the mind, there are some conditionings. Like there is a person who gets angry very fast. What is that? That's a conditioning. Yes, a person getting angry very on small thing immediately becomes angry. Conditioning. Yeah. So this is a kind of conditioning which everybody has, and that's a different unique conditioning. Who controls this? Maya. Daivi Esha Gunamayi. All right, that's it. Enough is enough. I want to get over this Maya. I want to finish it because how many of you are happy with conditionings and conditions in this world? Are wow, amazing. Let it be. I say रहना चाहिए. No, we want to break free from those conditions and conditionings. बस हो गया. Enough is enough. We don't want. नहीं चाहिए हमको ये conditionings. We don't want these conditions. We want to break free from it. Right? But so please tell us how to do. So let's see what Krishna is telling in the next line. Mama Maya Duratyaya. Sorry, dear friend. It's very difficult to win over Maya. Oh no. Duratyaya. Krishna is Duratyaya means very difficult. And I was hearing one lecture of Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada puts it very graphically with an example. Suppose Srila Prabhupada is a person who has experienced in his lifetime two world wars. The great world wars he's experienced, and he's also experienced the Indo-Pak War 48, Indo-Pak War 65, China War 62. All of these things he has experienced. He has experiences in those wars. Experience means not that he's fought the wars, but he has gone through certain things and he has analyzed the situation. So he gives a wartime example, because even that time in America, uh, all the youngsters and youth, they were being drafted into the US Army to go and fight in Vietnam. Yeah. So he gave an example, a graphic example of war. Suppose there is a, which country has the biggest army? Anyone knows? Army, navy, and this. Yes, Anand Prabhu. You can unmute now. I given.
China.
China has the biggest army. Okay, I was not
Yes,
knowing
the
this.
land army is biggest is China.
Okay, China's army is the
Then it's
biggest
US.
army. Okay, and second, I know third is India. People are googling it out. Okay, US. I guess US is second. Yeah, second is US. Third is India. And what to speak of we having the army of the whole world, army, navy, and air force of the entire world on one side. Ready? On the other side, there's an ant. What is there? Ant. What is the probability? I want to ask. What is the probability of ant winning over the whole army? Joke. It's a joke. How much time does it take to kill an ant? Finished. Of course, we should not do that. Ant also has soul, the super soul existing in the body. We are not supposed to kill living entities, but imagine if somebody has to kill the ant, that's all. One, this much ant is gone, dead. This much force is enough. So we determined to fight against Maya is like an ant trying to face the entire army, navy, and air force of the whole world. That is a graphic example that Srila Prabhupada gave. So now what do you say? What is the probability the ant was going to win? Not possible. Correct? Zero practically. Yeah. That is why it is said Mama Maya Duratyaya, which means it's very difficult. Krishna doesn't say impossible. Krishna says very difficult. If you want to conquer over Maya, very difficult. Then a devotee may say, oh, now we are all depressed. We are sad. No way. But Krishna says, wait a minute. Don't hang your faces. Don't feel sad. There is some way. One way is the only one way. Please tell. We will follow that way. But I'm telling you, there's only one way. Okay, please tell what is that one way. Mam eva ye prapadyante. You have to surrender unto me. Eva means only. There's only one way. We have to surrender unto Krishna. Surrender to God. Mam eva ye prapadyante. And then what happens? Mayam etam tarantite. One can easily surpass the material nature, Maya. So, got the connection? Now we surrender unto Krishna we can easily cross over Maya. Easily. We don't surrender to Krishna, we may try really hard. Those all attempts will be as good as an ant trying to fight with the whole army of the world. Army, Navy, Air Force, everything. The ant has no hope. So make your choice. That's what Lord Krishna tells. So this is the 14th verse. 14th verse. So now Krishna has touched this point of prapadyante, prapannam, prapannam, pranipatam, prapannam means to surrender. He's touched this point. So Krishna says, well, even after knowing all this, there are some people who don't surrender unto me, who don't worship me, don't take my shelter. Let's try to understand a little bit about them. There are four types of people like this who don't surrender unto me. So now surrender is the point. So Krishna in the next few verses till verse number 19 is going to talk about four kinds of people who surrender to him and four kinds of people who don't surrender. So first he talks about those four kind of people who are not surrendering unto him. Let's see who are they. नमां दुष्कृतिनो मूढाः प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमाः माययापहृतज्ञाना आसुरं भावमाश्रिताः. Let's see who are those four great people who are not not worshipping Krishna, don't surrender to Krishna. Yes, can you read?
Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me.
Yes. So there are four kinds of people, and these four peoples are the one we are going to discuss a little bit. We'll just take out some time and discuss about them. So who are these four kinds of people? The first kind of person is called Mudha. In Sanskrit, Mudha means fool. See, I already gave this particular explanation yesterday. There are Mudha and there is Vimudha. So Mudha means fools and Vimuda means rascals. And these are the two words that Srila Prabhupada repeatedly does use in his talks and even in his purports. So what exactly is the difference between Mudhas and rascals? That is fools and rascals. Prabhupada used this repeatedly. So Prabhupada says Mudha or fool means one who does not know. Mudha means one who does not know, fool. Then what is rascal? Rascal is one who does not want to know. Yes, he is rascal. One who does not want to know. So who is Muda? Muda is a fool who doesn't know. And rascal is Vimuda who doesn't want to know. So this is the first category of people. Muda, he does not surrender to Krishna. All right. Muda doesn't surrender to Krishna. He's a grossly foolish person. What exactly is this type of fool? Why is he a fool? He is fool because he is, although got a body of a human being, is still behaving like animal, which means he is after the sensual pleasures of that of animals, which means he is working hard, really hard, without caring anything for God. But his goal is how to improve my eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's all. These are the four things that he wants to improve in his life, which means he's as good as an animal. That's it. He's animal but has got a manushya rupena mrigascharanti. He's got a form of a human being, but he is as good as animal. See, when you talk about animals have everyone. All of us have two characteristics. One is called as kriti, and the second thing is called as akriti. Akriti means the form, and kriti means the activities. So if you see, when you talk about a dog has akriti. Yes, a form of a dog. We all know. We have seen dogs, stray dogs, puppy dogs, pet dogs, and all varieties of dogs. A huge breed. So these dogs have a particular akriti, which means form, and they perform a kriti. What is a kriti? They bark, they sniff, they bark, bow, bow, and they sniff around, going around. They do that. So we know. Similarly, a donkey has an akriti, a form, and donkey has a kriti. The kriti of a donkey is to bray and also to kick. That's what a donkey does. The donkey kicks. That is something that the donkey does. Kriti and akriti. All right. Then we speak about human being. Human being gets a human body, but as per Shastras, till the time one does not practice dharma, dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho. Without the practice of dharma, a human being is as good as a jantu. A jantu means a creature, as good as an animal. That's it. So till the time dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pashubhir samana. A human being is compared as good as a dog or a donkey or any other animal for that matter, till the time the human being agrees to participate in the aspects of religion. So Mudha is that kind of person who is just looking for improving facility for eating, sleeping, mating, defending. This is the first kind of person who doesn't surrender to Krishna. All right. Now, who's the second kind of person? Naradhama. Now, there are different meanings of Naradhama, but I'm taking the meaning which is given by Chakravarti Bhat, Krishna Chakravarti Thakur, because I don't have time to discuss all the meanings. There's Baldev Vidyabhushan's Gita Bhushan, there is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there is Ramanujacharya's commentary. We can keep discussing about this, but our topic is not this. When we deal with the reading, my plan is to go through the entire 18 chapters. We are on chapter 7 right now, and then come back to go in depth. At that point of time, we will very deeply take this section. So Naradhama means the lowest. Nara Adhama. Nara Uttama means the topmost of the mankind. Naradhama means the lowest of the mankind. Why these people are considered to be lowest of mankind? Because these are the people who have a chance, have an opportunity to practice bhakti, or for that matter they have even taken to bhakti for some point of time, for some time or duration they have done bhakti and then given it up. Hare Krishna. These are called Naradhama. Which means they had such a great opportunity and they gave it up. Hare Krishna. It's like a person who's really, really worked hard for 2 years, 4 years, 6 years and made it into the prime institute of IIT, Indian Institute of Technology. The person got into getting into that is so difficult. The success rate is very poor. Very few of them make it into IIT. But after getting into IIT, he fails. Imagine after getting into IIT, he has flunked all papers and he's been thrown out of the college, not fit for degree. What will you call such a person? You fool, you wasted one seat, you could have given that to me. I could have studied and earned a degree of IIT. Yes, such a kind of person who gets an opportunity, a chance to practice bhakti, and even for that matter, for some duration of time, practices the bhakti, but then gives it up. Gives it up. Such a person is called as Nara Adhama, Naradhama, the lowest of the mankind. Lowest of the mankind. This is the second category. Very unfortunate, right? Yeah, very unfortunate. It's like getting a great treasure, wealth. He gets a treasure chest, he opens it. Oh, there's gold. There are gold coins, gold biscuits. Biscuit also you get, no? Not that which you eat, dip in the herbal tea and eat. No, that gold biscuit. Bangles and so many things. And he takes it and he puts it off in the river. How unfortunate. So such is Naradhama. The third category of people are those people who are called as Mayaya Apahrita Jnana, which means technically their intelligence is stolen by Maya. Maya has attacked their intelligence. So what these people do? These people say, see, uh, although Lord Krishna he is telling that you have to surrender unto me. No, I will find out another method. See, Krishna is told in the 14th verse, where Mam eva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantate. See, my dear friend, there is only one way by which you can go beyond Maya. Only one way. There is no second way. There is no second way. Sometimes we ask, na? Suppose we get stuck in a traffic jam or something in a cab. in a cab or driving, is there any other route to that place? This route seems to be very busy. Oh, well, I'll take you through some shortcut, or I'll take you through some interior route by avoiding traffic. So many times devotees also come, ये surrender बहुत मुश्किल लग रहा है प्रभु जी, कोई easy method है क्या? नहीं बाबा, ये easiest है. And practically speaking, this is the only method. इसके अलावा कोई और method नहीं है. There is no other way than surrendering to Krishna and to cross over Maya. But this Maya Aparita Jnana, this person, this fellow is such an over smart fellow because his intelligence is stolen by Maya. He says, I will read the scriptures and I will create more methods by which I can cross over Maya. Such a fool. He says, I will bypass. Because God is an all ordinary person. Who is God is after all a very ordinary person. And I will study the scriptures and I will figure out the right philosophy of life. So the right philosophy of life is that you have to eat, sleep, drink and be happy. That's all. Some problem will keep coming. They will keep coming, but you have to adjust. Okay? थोड़ा थोड़ा adjust करने का. And live on. Live life king size. कोई बात नहीं. ऐश करके जियो. So there's a famous Muni called Charvak Muni. It's a typical example of this. Charvak Muni says, Rinam kritva ghritam pibet yavat jivet sukham dihet. So he's saying that you better become a take debt from someone, but purchase nice ghee. This is the goal of life. Purchase pure cow ghee and drink nicely. Enjoy. Rinam kritva ghritam pibet. Drink nice ghee. Yavat jivet, as long as you don't care how long you're going to live, but sukhat jivet, live happily. This is the goal of life. Nonsense. So they read scriptures, know little Sanskrit, and they propose such kind of philosophy, which is no way close to what Lord Krishna is teaching. These are called Mayaya Aparta Jnana. Yes? Bhagwan kya bolte? Like this, there was a movie, very famous movie, in which uh, one the script writer or the actor, he says that, well, he comes as God and he says, well, I am telling that everyone no need to worship me. This is exactly the opposite of what you're telling. He says, no need to worship me, just serve the poor people. Yes, whatever money you have, give it to poor people. Don't give it to some babas or temples or me also. I don't need money. Give it all to poor people. Don't construct my temples. Rather, you construct schools and hospitals. So this is what the scriptwriter story is. This is exactly what Krishna is saying. Manmana bhavamat bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru mam evaishasi satyam te pratijane priyoshime. Krishna is telling to surrender. Krishna is telling to worship. Krishna is telling to give. Please give me. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Give. And this fellow, he is telling that you don't need to give anything. कोई बात नहीं. Don't. सब कुछ poor. So this is called Maya Aparta Jnana. Concocting your own philosophy of life. So this you will find many people, and these are the people who claim to have read Bhagavad Gita. That's all the more foolish. Are you read Bhagavad Gita? Didn't you see the 18th chapter verse number 66? Didn't you see 18th chapter verse number 65? 9th chapter verse number 35, 34? Krishna is clearly telling, Are surrender rascal. There's a lecture of Prabhupada. Hey rascal, surrender. That is the title of the lecture. Rascal, surrender. So Krishna is telling very clearly, but still people don't want to follow. Why? Because their knowledge is stolen by Maya. That is the third category. And the final category is Asuram Bhavam Ashritaha. So these people are outwardly envious of Krishna, like Shishupal. It is said that when Shishupal was born, as soon as he was born, ek kitna pagal hai, ek kitna ganda hai. So he started blaspheming Krishna, right? Totla boli. Children usually speak like that, like that. So that from that time onwards, he started blaspheming Krishna. He started his career with that. That was his opening statement, blasphemy of Krishna. So how such people are very, very envious of such a sweet Lord. What has he done? क्या किया है उन्होंने? He has not done. In fact, he is giving everything. He is smiling. He's such an amazing person. The more we read about him, the more we hear about him, you find out that God is such a loving person. He's such a loving dear friend of all living entities. But still there are people who keep maintaining envy of Lord. And who accept that bhava, Hiranyakashipu bhav, Ravana bhav, Hiranyaksha bhav, Kamsa bhav. So they accept the bhava of, instead of Prahlad bhav, Narada bhav, and the bhavas and moods of the devotees, bhakti bhav, they accept asuram bhavam ashrita. They accept the bhava of asuras and become envious of Krishna. These are the four types of people who will not surrender to Krishna. Yes, they will not surrender to Krishna. All right. So now we have had enough negativity, thoda positive, Prabhuji. We want some positive kind of experience also. So let's now look at people who surrender to Krishna. That comes in the 16th verse. Those who please read the purports. Prabhupada's given amazing explanation. 16th. चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जनाः सुकृतिनोऽर्जुन आर्थो जिज्ञासुरर्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभ. See, last verse Krishna told about Dushkritina. Dushkritina means miscreants, fools, rascals. But now he is talking about Sukritina. Sukritina means pious people. So let's see who are those pious people who surrender to Krishna.
O best among the Bharatas, four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge without
Excuse
field.
me. Yeah. So there are four kinds of people who surrender to Krishna. The first kind of person is the person who is artho. Artho is a person who is materially very, very distressed. He is in pain. Somebody, he's been cheated. Somebody, a relationship, in a relationship, he got cheated. Yes, he is very frustrated in life. He's not having getting a job, or they threw him out of the company. He's very frustrated. He's not able to make friends. So such kind of people also are very depressed in life. And Kali Yuga, there is abundance of such kind of people. They came. So yesterday also there was one person, and he came, and I was dead tired by 9:30. Around that time, I was very very tired. I just wanted to go to bed, and suddenly there was a devotee came and said, Prabhuji, there is a person who is very very desperate to meet you only. Then I told another devotee, please, another senior, you go and meet him, please. Tell him that I'm sleeping. So he went and met. He took almost his 2 hours of time, and he was telling the same thing again and again. But the point was, he came to Lord. He came to Lord. He came to devotees of Lord. He came to temple. He took darshan. But night also we gave him little darshan. Shayan, just before we closed, he could get the darshan. But he was so much frustrated and depressed in life. Nothing is going well in my life, he was telling. My health is down, bank balance is going off, problem with wife, problem with children, problem with boss, problem with parents, everything. Nothing is going correct in my life. I think I want to commit suicide. He was telling like this. But at least before he committed suicide, he was contemplating suicide. But before that, he at least came to Lord. Now there are many people like this. So they came to Lord at least. So Artho. This is first category of people. The second category of people are Jignasuhu. Jignasu means they have something to ask. See, all kinds of people come to our Bhakti Yoga club. So today morning only we had a gentleman who came from a nearby society. So every time he used to look at the board, Bhakti Yoga club. Whenever he used to pass by, Bhakti Yoga club, Bhakti Yoga club. So previously, before we put up a board and everything, my dhoti used to be hanging there. My dhoti and kurta, saffron. So many people used to see that. Arey, ye kya hai? What is this? And so many dhoti. Even the boys used to hang their dhoti kurta there. So यहाँ पे कौन लोग रहते हैं? White है, saffron है. What is exactly this? So people used to come and ask, is this what exactly? Who all stay here? Because these are not the clothes which are worn in general. In Bengal, this is very common attire. Yet saffron is not very common. That's not very common. And this person just walked in and came because he was seeing the Bhakti Yoga Club board. He really wanted to enter. What exactly is this Bhakti Yoga Club? Maybe it may be active on a Sunday morning. So he just happened to come. He just walked in, and the moment he looked at me, huh, I know you. I've seen you on YouTube, he was telling. I said, okay, yeah, yeah. Correct. You come on Hare Krishna TV? I said, yeah, yeah, I do come on Hare Krishna TV. You're the same guy? I said, yeah, yeah, I'm the same person. Oh, he was like shocked. I do watch your program. Sometimes whenever I get time like this, I watch your programs. They're really good, he was telling. So he was jignasu, he was quite inquisitive. What is there in this? What exactly happens here? What are all the activities? What is chanting? What is exactly this dhoti kurta? What is this tilak? So this is Jignasu, a person who has may not be directly inquiries about how to surrender to Krishna, Prabhuji, My chanting is not going well. Please tell me how to advance in spiritual life. They may not be deep and serious inquiries, but he has something to know, some information he wants to know. What is the full form of ISKCON? Huh? What exactly? Why people shave up everything? Keep some hair here. Take this also off now. Why like this? So people have questions like that. So these kind of questions people come with the questions. So these are jignasu. But even such kind of questions that people have, they all that also brings them closer to sadhu sangha, or at least they come to Lord. They come to the temple. They get some prasadam. They get some knowledge, and they get some kind of connectivity to our programs, right? So this is jignasu. May not be so serious. No, these are four people who somehow or the other come, but they come. That's the kind. We are not talking about pure devotees here. We are talking about people who are quite motivated in their intentions, but definitely they are coming to Krishna. Jignasu. The third one is Artharthi. Now, Artharthi is a person who desires material opulence. I want material wealth. सुख संपत्ति घर आवे कष्ट मिटे तन का. So they want all the sukh sampatti, let it all come home. I don't want, so Artharthi is that kind of person who wants wealth, who wants power, who wants prestige, who wants name, fame, popularity. So for this, and they think that let me come and pray to God for this. So normally in a given engineering college, the percentage of atheistic population is 99. 99% people are atheists or agnostics. But before the college placements or examinations start, the population of atheists becomes 1%. 1%. So he becomes 1%. So it's other way around. Why? Artharthi. People are actually wanting the material benefits. So they want job, they want placement, let placement happen. So they go all become theists and go into the temple and they're praying. This is Artharthi. And the fourth one is called Jnani. Now, normally when devotees hear Jnani, they become very angry and upset. Are Jnani? No, he's not a Gyan yogi. Jnani is a person in this context who is actually a seeker of Krishna. He's a Jnani. So, and exactly at this point of time, His Grace Radha Aradhya Prabhu, he has typed a question, Hare Krishna Dandvat. Please, after class, kindly explain Shukdev Goswami's position in regard to this verse. Yes. So, I'm going to explain now only. So, Jnani is a person who is actually the seeker of Krishna. He's seeking, and only a person who is a seeker of Krishna becomes a seer of Krishna. So here Jnani may not be a pure devotee, but he's still seeking after Krishna, and that is why in the future verses he is going to be glorified. And for your pleasure, definitely I'm going to explain about Shukadeva Goswami a little more in the end. So there are examples in Shastras of these four kinds of people. Artho, one who prayed to Krishna in distress, is Gajendra. His leg was caught by a crocodile. So he prayed out, Narayana, Akila Guru, Bhagavan Namaste. He took a flower and offered and prayed in distress. So he is the example of Artho. Jignasu, inquisitive. The examples are Shaunakadi Rishis. Shaunak Rishi was the head of almost 88,000 sages who had all assembled in Naimisharanya to perform a sacrifice for the public welfare of the Kali Yuga. But then, later on, when Suta Goswami came, they said, we are frustrated with this sacrifice. Only one thing happened with this sacrifice. Our faces all became black. See? Black, black, black ho gaya sab kuch. Now we don't want to stop this. We want to inquire some things. What is good for the general people of this world? What did you study in your class with Shukadeva Goswami? Yes. So like this, they make some general inquiries. What is good for all these people? Please give a sense of all scriptures. So generally they were inquisitive, but they kept progressing. They are progressive. We need to understand. The third category is Artharthi. Who is Artharthi? Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj approached Krishna not to surrender unto him. He didn't approach Krishna to love Krishna. He approached Krishna because he wanted a kingdom greater than great grandfather. So he understood the highest person in this world is Brahma. If I worship Brahma at max, I can become little equal to a little less than Brahma. But I want to become better than Brahma. How is it I can become better than Brahma only if I worship somebody who's beyond him, above him? So who is above Brahma? Tell me. They said, oh, above Brahma is only one person who is Vishnu, Narayan, Krishna. That's it. I will go and search. Where is he? So his mother told, normally sages go to forest and find him. So he said, well, I am going to come. I'll go to forest and I'll find him. So he goes to forest with the determination to find Krishna to get a kingdom better than his great grandfather. But ultimately, these three people in association of pure devotees, although in the beginning, before they surrendered to Krishna or before they were beginning to surrender, their intentions may not be completely pure. They may not be pure devotees. They may not have any desire to serve Krishna, to love Krishna. No. But eventually, by the gradual practice of bhakti, by the gradual association of pure devotees, eventually they all have a great possibility. They have a very bright future. That's why they're called Sukritinaha. The bright future is they all become pure lovers of God. They become. And out of which Jnani is very special. Very special. So that is why what is the special position of a Jnani that's more specifically mentioned in the future shlokas. So Krishna is telling here, Tesham jnani nityayukta ekabhaktir priyo hi jnanino tyartham aham sachamama priyah. Translation please.
Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to him and he is dear to me.
Excellent. So this Jnani is different. Why is he different? He is different because the former three categories, namely the Artho, Jignasu and Artharthi, they serve Krishna, they worship Krishna, they come to Krishna with material desires. On the other hand, a Jnani serves Krishna with an intent to know Krishna. So this Jnani is definitely not that Jnani who wants to merge in Lord. No, he's not that person. But then why is he kept as Sukritina, mere Sukritina? No, he is not a Sukritina. He is a Sukritina, definitely, but he is a better category Sukritina, which because he's now going to become a Bhakta very soon. And Krishna tells that Eka Bhakti Vishishyate. He's special, he's my devotee, and he becomes very fast. Because he's a seeker of me, he becomes my devotee. Eka Bhaktir means he just serves me with pure intention to get me to. That is why he's very dear to me. And I am also very dear to him. See, we mutually really like each other, we love each other, and we are dear to each other. So this Jnani is special. Yeah. So his realization is quite different, and he may be on the platform of Brahman. That means thinking oneself that I am a spirit soul. But he's progressive towards understanding the Paramatma and eventually Bhagwan. Because vadanti tat tattvadidas tattva yadjnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwaniti shabdate. The absolute truth, gradually we progress in our understanding of absolute truth. First it is Brahman, that is energy of Krishna which is everywhere. Then there is Paramatma, that supreme Lord who stays in the form of a Paramatma, a localized form everywhere, in every body. And Bhagavan iti shabdate. Bhagavan is the supreme personality of God himself. So he's very progressive in the Jnani. So Krishna is so amazing that he's telling Jnani is very dear to him. But although Jnani is very dear to him, he's saying that I still like all four of them. It's not just Jnani, but all four of them are very special because they're coming to me. Udarah sarva evaite jnani tu atmaiva me matam astita sahi yuktatma mame vanuttamam gatim.
All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect good.
Aha, amazing, right? So he's telling all these souls, I love all these four people because they're coming to me. Definitely. But amongst them, Jnani, Astita Sahi Yuktatma. That person is engaged very properly. As a result of me, he will very soon, and because of his pure desires, spiritual desires to know me, he will develop my knowledge. Because this chapter is all got to do with knowing the absolute truth. So he will definitely know the absolute truth. 100%, without a doubt. That's what Krishna is telling. He will definitely know. So all of them are good, but Jnani is very, very special. Yeah, very, very special. But now a person wants to know that how a jnani comes to the platform of pure devotee. How a jnani becomes a pure devotee? This is the last verse of our discussion for today. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha.
After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes, and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare.
Come on, this is like a turning point. Krishna is telling here it takes jnani lifetimes to become a bhakta. Bahunam janmanam yante jnanavan mam prapadyate. Vasudeva sarvamiti. He will understand that I am everything. Samahatma sudurlabha. That means for a jnani to become bhakta will take lifetimes. If he is doing so out of his own endeavor. I'll do on my own. I want to seek God, but I would like to seek God independently. Well, then that's going to take a lot of time. So this became quite an anticlimax. I thought Gyani Krishna is appreciating Gyani. Gyani is so nice. Gyani is special. I love Gyani. Gyani is me. I'm equal to Gyani. Gyani is a very good person. But now, huh? Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan prapadyate. What does it mean? This shows the rarity of a bhakta. So here Krishna is not actually demeaning the Jnani. Rather, he is speaking about the rarity of devotional service, Sudurlabha. He is speaking the rarity of a pure devotee who has perfected his life. A pure devotee. So in this context, the Jnani who is mentioned is a person who is seeker of God, definitely. But he is not yet taken to the process of bhakti. He is not surrendering to devotees. He is not associating with devotees. He is not doing Shravanam Kirtam like all of you are doing. He is just a seeker of God. For such a person, it's going to take a long time. That's not easy. But still, he is a good person. On the other hand, if a jnani takes shelter of a pure devotee, a bhakta, he will become a bhakta eventually. Like Shukadeva Goswami. Had Shukadeva Goswami was already liberated. Now I'm answering His Grace Radharadya Prabhu's question. He wanted to know Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami's position was a jnani. And he was such a jnani that 16 years he stayed in the womb of his mother. This is mentioned in the Brahma Vaivarta Puran. He was not coming out. He was not coming out because he knew outside there is Maya. This Maya, Mama Maya Duratya. She is going to bind me with rope, so I am here only. Although the condition inside the womb is so dangerous and deadly and dark. He says, but this is better than the world outside. World outside is a horrible place. And I don't want to come out. Then Maya will catch me and she will beat me. No, I don't want to come. Then Krishna has to personally come and assure, my dear Shukadev. He says, okay, Krishna, if you are assuring, I'll come out. And as soon as he came out, that's it. He just started walking towards the forest. This is the Jnani. Independently wanting to go beyond Maya. Independently wanting to realize the God. Yes? On the other hand, when Shukadeva heard that famous verse of Aho Bhakiyam Stanakala Kutam from the Kutkatas, then he turned back and came and took shelter of Vyasdev and Srimad Bhagavatam. And thus he becomes, from a Brahmagyani, he becomes pure devotee. So he saves his time. Bahunam Janmanam, and Bahunam it becomes Eka Janman only. In one birth he attains perfection. So had he gone to the forest and pursued his path, whatever path of speculation, but seeking God, it would have taken him long time. And Samahatma Sudurlabha means very rarely one attains out of his own endeavor. Even that is not possible. Normally, Jnanis may fall back to material desires after repeated hits and not getting the success. So Shukadeva is a Jnani, but because he went back to the father and took shelter of pure devotee and Srimad Bhagavatam, a pure scripture, Amalam Puranam, he becomes purified and becomes a pure devotee. So he saved his birth. Questions. What is real dharma? The real dharma is to love and serve God. The dharma of soul. That is dharma. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. One loves and serves God without any material motivation, ahaituki and apratihata, without a full stop, continually. Yes. Is there any pure devotee nowadays? There are many pure devotees, but a pure devotee will never say I am a pure devotee. That is why we study about pure devotees from Shastra. Then we will be able to see, oh, we are having pure devotees. So for that we need to understand who is a pure devotee. So we are studying scriptures for two reasons: for understanding who is a pure devotee and taking their shelter, serving them, so that we can also become a pure devotee. Why Jnani and not Bhakta dear to God? Oh, if Jnani is so dear to God, how dear is Bhakta? So here Krishna is telling that Jnani is as good as me. But Chakravarti Pad writes a Bhakta is much better than me. That means that's how Krishna considers. Krishna considers Bhakta to be much, much better. So if Jnani is dear to him, a Jnani can become Bhakta after many, many lifetimes. Bahunam. So how dear would be Bhakta to Krishna? That we can understand. Okay? We will conclude here. Fine. Thank you. Is there any one or two more questions I can take? Else we'll conclude. Okay. It's 5:30. I have another meeting at 5:30, so we will go ahead. Examples of pure devotees. I will not give examples of pure devotees. I will keep understanding who is a pure devotee, and when you look around, you will see examples yourself. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.